All right, this will be my review of the third episode of Alien Earth, and the pessimism over it is somewhat increased. I'll go over what's still very good about it. Obviously, aesthetically, it's very good, and they got a lot of things right. Whereas other prequels or what have you don't. Where it fits. This looks like this place could have existed in the world of Alien, as at the very least, if not outright shown, hinted at in the first two films. It's all very good. The other main good effort is to expand upon the lore. Whenever you revisit any of these franchises, you got to ask yourself, what's the next story to tell? A lot of them just don't. They do a derivative rip-off of the original, and throw this around and hope you're distracted enough to like the explosions and the scares and stuff like that. But, it's not going to cut it after this many different attempts at this story of Alien. Because as I've said, none of the sequels and or prequels of Alien, in my opinion, have succeeded. Most of them are very bad, some worse than others, and so on. So this is a series, a streaming series. So for the hope is that the overall season of this, 8 episodes, works. And there's only been 3. So it's not enough to really pass total judgment over it and shut it down and forget about it. So the positives are there. The performances of the actors are still very good, even though I think a couple were miscast, at least in how they're presented. The brother, he needed to be like a paramedic, not a military guy. I think that it still could have worked. You can have your military guys there. Although, and they didn't really sell it, that there's a warlike environment here as to why you had to have them, hey, search and rescue, and then pull guns on the first person they hear. No. So there was a narrative way to do that. It didn't have to. These are really unforced errors that were unnecessary to put it in that position. The most notable is the hybrids, as they're calling them. Why didn't you put it in there that they had some kind of training? There's a means by which you could understand why the company would want to get back on its investment, that, hey, these are now super people. And to explain the use of children is that their brains are easier to access the transfer than adults would be. And that sort of thing. You could have done something of that nature, and the payoff is that now they can become these super soldiers, but you needed to train them to fight, so you could have said, well, time kind of jumped a little in between when they first created these hybrids and so on. You didn't do that. You just throw them in there, and the only reason is because, well, Wendy's special and she knew her brother was there and she wanted to go. The idea that she takes an interest in her brother could still be the narrative, but to throw kids in your very expensive childlike hybrids in there, it's just stupid. And that's the stumbling blocks of it. With all the aesthetics, and aesthetics alone won't save it. There's been other properties that looked really good and had a lot of cool scenery in it and all this sort of stuff, and the story was crap. And it was just or it had potential for a good story, but it fails because the stupid outweighs the cool. So there's a lot of cool in Alien Earth, but so they've already is this one thing about, well, is Wendy a Mary Sue? They're damn near on the way there. She's different from the others. I suppose if you let the others develop these same abilities, then it means since she's the first and she's had a head start on the others, that she's developed more abilities that they just don't have yet. The super strength and all that sort of thing. Well, that makes sense. They've explained that. So it's not a Mary Sue in that element. But you've got a scene in here where she's with her brother. She saves him again, and they're on the run. But the xenomorph approaches, and the xenomorph, and there's this connection. That's another thing. Now I'm sure they haven't explained it yet, but they're gonna have some explanation as to how and why she has some sort of link to the xenomorph, and the face huggers, all of the whatever the the whole species. And when they're in pain, she seems to feel it. She keeps hearing this high-pitched noise and that sort of thing. So at some point you got to explain it. You can't just leave it there. So, and why her? Why is it only her? Why are the others? And it's like, well, there was something about her that made her more special to the other specials, and that sort of thing. If you give the explanation at the very least, then all right, you got it there. But how? Why would she have a connection? And what about the other critters that they've discovered? Does she have it doesn't seem to have any connection to it. I don't know. But her superness, yes, there's an explanation to it. But then you create a problem here. So this is an alien story. It's really the Earth part of it has more emphasis than alien. Xenomorph is just a guest star. It's so far in here, and I'm fine with it because, like I said, what's the other story? What you expand? We've never really seen Earth, not on screen. I don't know about comic books or novels and that sort of thing, but of the films, you really don't get to see it and what that society is like. In Romulus, you saw one of the colonies still, fully function, not like from Aliens where you only, and that's only in the deleted scenes. In the full cut, you see them functioning before they were wiped out and all that, but still very minimal, whereas here a whole society is and everything, and so that's good. You get a view more of that. So I'm not complaining about that. It's more of Earth and everything, but it's alien Earth. So this is about battling the xenomorphs, and that's exactly what she does. They attempt to trap the xenomorph. It kind of backfires on them between her and her brother, and she gets trapped in this storage room with the xenomorph, and the brother's desperately trying to open the door again to get her back out, and you can hear the battle going on, and oh my god, she's being torn apart. The door finally opens. He goes in there, and there's the xenomorph dead on the floor, sliced in half. And Wendy, I guess, has an injury to her head somewhere as a little drop of the white blood comes out, and she collapses on the floor. And then, of course, they fix her. They give her treatment, and she recovers later on. Do you see the problem already? You obviously are going to have they all fly back to the Neverland base on the island for, Boy Cavalier's little place there where he wants to study these critters and all that. And they've got all the eggs with the face huggers in there, and they're experimenting on them. We get more of an anatomy of those that they kind of just seem to know. And maybe there's, this isn't the first time. Maybe, I don't know. But the thing of it is, there's going to be this all-out battle with xenomorphs after they grow again on the island and all that. And you've got a whole crew of superhumans, one of which, handed a xenomorph its ass. This is over before it began. The xenomorphs are not really that big of a threat. So then you're going to have to go, but Wendy's different. Now they've established the two guys are for whatever reason, more childlike than the girls, and they're kind of goofy and easily scared. So the xenomorph might be able to wipe them out. Then you got the redheaded girl. Something's wrong with her, so she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and probably won't work out. That leaves the other girl who doesn't act like a child at all and is jealous of Wendy. So there's a rivalry there. So I suppose narratively you can have that explain how they're not a good unit. And that gives the xenomorph some hope of winning overall. But you see that scene where, okay, she kills the xenomorph. She wins that one. But you got to have her be way more badly damaged than just that. And, I mean, you've already done this incredible thing with they could have repaired her and restored her and all this sort of stuff. Like have to replace a limb, give her a cybernetic arm, that kind of thing, because, well, you messed up the other one. That xenomorph did a job on you, and all that, but not just a little drip drip and then she falls over into a catatonic state. So, yeah. So there's problems here, and these are unnecessary stumbles. The other bits of it, there's the corporate intrigue of the Weyland Yutani, I want my stuff, and Captain Morrow, his story and all of that, and him starting to figure out what these hybrids are about and all this sort of thing. And so there's cool narratives there. So that's why will that outweigh some of the stupid to save the show, And that's really a subjective thing. Will it work for me? It might, But a lot of it's just, it didn't have to be that way. These are not hard to figure out, and yet, I don't know, it just doesn't. The one thing that is absolutely unacceptable is the constant use of rock music, Metallica or whatever. I don't care. It's quite a few Metallica songs I really like, but not in an Alien show or movie. Somebody listening to it again, like one of the characters listens to it, for a brief moment in their room or whatever, fine. But it's not just that. There's other elements of it within the music that doesn't belong in an Alien film or show. It just doesn't. You've done a great job capturing the essence and all the aesthetics of Alien and Aliens, and then you drop that in it. No, but it's going to be there. Apparently, every show is going to go that way, and this is damn near Willow level stupidity. And it just is it really that big of a deal? Ordinarily, it wouldn't be. I mean, it would always be a problem, because it just doesn't belong there. So it's a bit of well, not an eyesore, but an ear sore, because it doesn't belong there. It's not that the song is bad or anything like that. But compounded with the other stupid that happens, it can derail it. So, not enough to totally derail it at the moment, but we're nervous about it. So, we'll see. But already, it's got some trouble. But still has a lot of cool elements to it. But man, well, we'll just have to see if the cool and the overall narrative outweighs the stupid.